Good morning and welcome back to the channel. This video is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Do your own research, make your own decisions. All right, so big couple days to say the least. We are at historic trend lines across numerous markets with Bitcoin, with the S&P, with the NASDAQ. It's important to understand that with these long-term trend lines, there have been times where we wicked below for a few days, a few weeks, whatever it may be. I'm just making the point that we are at long-term trend lines across numerous different markets. I'm not saying that we're going to wick below and then recover or that those trend lines are going to hold. I'm just pointing out the fact that that's the situation that we're in across Bitcoin, the S&P, and the NASDAQ. And simultaneously, the 10-year yield is starting to move up. And for anybody who doesn't understand why that's significant, because I didn't originally, back when I started hearing Greg talk about the debt market implosion, but the Fed has suppressed bond yields more or less for years by creating artificial demand for bonds through buying tons of bonds. So what that's done is it's driven bond yields down. Now, in years past, 60-40 portfolios were the norm, stocks to bonds, and bonds were always a place where institutions had allocated a percent of their assets under management, right? So, but with bond yields being down so low throughout the last decade, if bond yields are 1 to 2% and inflation is at least 2%, you're probably going to roll the dice with other options, right? You're probably going to just say, well, I'm just going to go into equities. So what it's done is suppressing bond yields has redirected so much capital into equities, leading to the largest stock market bull run in history. All right, so that's one component to it. The other one is just the rest of the QE that they've been doing. But those low bond yields have taken bonds off the table, more or less, for many, not all, financial institutions, investors, things of that nature. And it's redirected that capital, for the most part, to the stock market. Now, if bond yields start rising uncontrollably, and we've seen a significant increase over the last 5 or so trading days with a 10-year yield. But if it keeps going up, your guess is as good as mine. I mean, this is the biggest debt bubble ever in world history. And one, the bond yield going up dramatically, well, now there's a higher yield, and you're looking at a situation where there's been 6 months of losses for a lot of different institutions in equities. So a rapidly rising bond yield in an environment like this creates a lot of different problems. And it also signals to many investors, many institutions, that the debt market is unstable, which could by itself cause a lot of capital to start moving. So there's a lot of things that are happening right now. Now, on top of this, we might be entering into the end game, guys. The main stage of the end game. We've been in the end game for quite some time. But the reason why I say that is because there are starting to be bank runs in China. Reuters reported this. And the headline says, China bank protests stopped by health codes turning red. So they essentially just shut all those people off. On top of that, Russia's Gazprom reduces gas deliveries to Germany via Nord Stream 1 by 40%. And they claimed it was because of delayed repairs on Nord Stream 1. On top of that, I just saw the announcement come out where they're doing something very similar, or maybe cutting off Italy as a whole. On top of that, Kiev suspends exports of Ukrainian gas, coal, and fuel oil. This came out from Reuters the other day. So these are just a couple stories that have happened just in the last 48 hours or so. So that's the situation that we're in. And I'm not saying that this is going to be the big one. We will know in the next few days, I believe. We will know whether or not stocks are going to, if they do wick significantly below their historic trend lines, we should know within a matter of days, maybe a couple weeks, or whether or not they're going to recover back above that, or whether they're just going to hold and we're going to see some type of a bounce. Maybe markets react positively to the Fed raising rates. Who knows? Everything is backwards, okay? Everything about markets and everything has been so counterintuitive all the way up until this point that your guess is as good as mine. All I can tell you is that that's the situation that we're in. And what I will say is that regardless of what happens, guys, certain things don't change. What the Fed does, what happens with markets, what happens with the 10-year yield spiking and the debt market imploding only signals to me that we're that much sooner to moving over to a new system, that they're that much sooner to resetting the financial system. I'm not saying it's going to happen. This could be a potential fake out, and this could be the real deal. I'm 50-50 at this point. It's whatever they will want it to be. That's the important point. It's whatever they will want it to be. Market movements like the ones we have seen in recent months do not happen by accident, because that amount of capital being, just wiped away from the system, somebody's always going to be on the right side and the wrong side of that. And I don't believe that from now for forever, the financial institutions are going to be on the wrong side of much of anything. So I don't think that there'd be no reason for them to be. They own everything. They can do whatever they want to do, and they can create money from thin air. There's no checks and balances. There's no way to audit them. There's no way to prosecute. So they can do whatever they want to do. They make the rules. They're in charge. So I don't think that when you see market movements like the ones that we've seen in recent months, I don't think those are happening by accident, and I don't think they're on the wrong side of that. So just want to make that point. But at the end of the day, the only thing that I can sit here and say I have 99.9% confidence in is that they're going to continue to implement the new system without pause, and they're going to continue to roll out CBDCs, and they're going to continue to implement the new blockchain infrastructure all around the world, just like they have throughout the last year. But they're trying to do everything they possibly can to convince people that it is anything but that. So that's the situation. And the only way that I see them stopping implementing the new system is in a world-ending type of a situation. That's it. Because so much of, guys, here's the thing. The Great Reset's not over here happening, and then, because it's important to understand the event that we're living through. This is the Great Reset, okay? Everything happening right now, all these news stories, all the insanity, all the fear, right? All the propaganda, this is the Great Reset. But you need to understand that the new tech infrastructure it's already being implemented all around the world is really one of the most essential parts of the Great Reset. So much of the agenda is dependent on this tech infrastructure being in place. CBDCs, digital IDs, the ability to have an open public record of all transactions, the ability to tokenize everything and bring it onto the blockchain. So there's an open record of everything and who owns it and where it is and when it's moving. You don't think they want that degree of visibility into everything? So make your own decisions. Do what you feel like is best for you. This is why I said a month and a half ago that we're heading into uncharted territory, and you need to make sure your assets are where you want them. If I'm about to watch the old system implode, I'm not saying that it's going to. I'm just saying that we'll find out shortly. Not necessarily, I don't think that we'll know today for sure, but I think that we will know over the next week or so where we stand. If this is truly the end game, if the debt market is going to implode, and where we're at here. But regardless of where we at, and regardless of how they go about getting us from where we are right now to fully transition to the new system, how they get from point A to point B, I don't have to figure out every single detail. I don't have to figure out when this is going to happen and when that's going to happen and how they're going to go about doing this, that. I don't have to figure all that out. I just have to watch what's happening on these networks, watch what's happening with the corporations adopting it, and continue to watch them destroying the old system. As long as those things stay in place, we're just on a path to the new system. And until there is real evidence that supports that they're going to stop implementing their new system that so much of their agenda is dependent on, then it is what it is for me. I just assume, hey, yeah, they're going to shake everybody out that they can possibly shake out. And they're going to get as many people in retail out as they can. They're going to get as many people who are on leverage as they can, and not on traditional leverage like on the leverage trading market, but people who have, bought using some type of debt mechanisms. And that's just, it is what it is. There's no real limitations on what they can do with price manipulation. And within reason, I think that even they want to keep certain things in a certain range. But we'll see. We'll see. I know for me personally, I have no concerns about the overwhelming majority of my positions, especially my core positions, especially my ISO positions. And so it is what it is. It is what it is. If I'm about to watch the old system implode, I 100% want to be in the new system. I don't know when they're going to make a big move. All the movement in Bitcoin and crypto happens in a very, very, very condensed time frame. I don't know when that's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen today or tomorrow, but I don't know when it's going to happen. And for me, it makes the most sense for me to do exactly what I'm doing right now. The more that they try to convince me that I should be very afraid and that crypto is too risky, right? But see, again, nobody has ever even explained what crypto is. They won't come out and tell you it's the new tech infrastructure for all corporations, banks, and governments, and that it's in implementation right now. They won't tell you that. They want you to think that that this is just internet currencies that aren't backed by anything and that have no real utility. They don't want you to know that these networks, this tech, has already been implemented across the world in numerous countries, numerous large corporations, and with numerous big banks and central banks. And it's continuing to be implemented. So, don't know what's going to happen, guys. The only thing I can tell you is the same thing I've been telling you for a year. Implementation is going to continue. And when there is substantial evidence that implementation is not going to continue, at that moment in time, the conversation would change. But at this point in time, there is more evidence than I could list off in an hour that this is just going to continue. I mean, directly from them. I mean, what Deloitte just said last week, within 2 years, 75% of retailers, or I believe I saw another number that said 87%, are planning on accepting crypto within the next 2 years. And that aligns in a general sense with the rollout of CBDCs. So it's not just me saying implementation is going to continue. Deloitte is saying implementation is going to continue. The central bankers are saying implementation is going to continue because they're continuing to roll out CBDCs all around the world, and they're going to carry out the ISO protocol until there is evidence that they are not. And there is not any evidence at this moment in time that they are not going to do that. The thing is that what they do is they have built so many fake narratives in this space to where people don't understand the technical aspects of that. They don't understand that CBDCs are married to the blockchain. They don't understand all of these things because they have pushed so much propaganda and so many fake narratives about what this actually is that a lot of people don't know what they're holding. So that's where we are. Guys, I've been saying the same thing for over a year. Never going to change. Said many times. I don't care if it goes here. I don't care if it goes here. I don't care if it goes here. Doesn't matter to me. Never getting out of the market, right? For me personally, I want to see what happens over the next couple days before I do anything else. Because I think that we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I'll just put it that way. We'll see what happens, guys. Because this could be the big one. This could be the big one. And understand that Bitcoin and crypto and stocks are not going to stay correlated forever. So they're not going to stay correlated forever. I'm not saying they're going to break today or tomorrow because I don't think that they're going to. But they can break whenever they want them to break. And in my personal opinion, they will make their moves when there is mass fear and they have gotten as many people in retail out as they can possibly get out. That's when I think that they will make their moves. So whenever that is, it's hard for me to gauge the overall fear level in the market because I'm just looking at sentiment. I don't really experience much I don't really experience much fear myself or any fear myself. So it's hard for me to gauge where the fear level is in the market and when it's, you know, because Lord, I thought we were there 2 weeks ago. So that's all I got, guys. Implementation is going to continue in my personal opinion and also in Deloitte's opinion. So, and also in the central banker's opinion. But their job is to do everything they possibly can to convince you that all of this isn't just one big thing. All right. So that's all I have for this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Take care. Not financial advice. Make your own decisions. Take care. Have a good day. I will see you in the next video.